Week 3 is here. After last week's slate, exhilarating for some fan bases, disappointing for others, a few questions have been answered, but plenty still remain. Can teams that looked flat bounce back? Will we see upsets all over the map? Let's break it down on this week's college football preview.
UCLA on the move. Play clock's down. 2nd and 10. They bring 4. Nico's throw. It's batted up, and it's picked, and UNLV has it.
Hey, what's up, fellas? I'm still on cloud 9 after that program-defining win. Hell, I'm still drunk off the success from last week's result. However you'd like to say it. Let's check in with the Rebels and see who their opponent is for this week. Ah, yes, UNLV is on a much-needed bye week. After 3 consecutive weeks of steadily progressing as a team, the Rebels pulled off one of the biggest wins in program history. We won't worry about the semantics of the actual game, because it wasn't perfect. That doesn't matter now. UNLV needs its rest. I do think we have to check in on their opponent from last week's game, though, UCLA, because that fan base is on watch right now. UCLA versus New Mexico. The Bruins head home this week to face the New Mexico Lobos, another Mountain West foe. A week ago, this looked like a clear UCLA blowout, at least according to Bruin fans. After what they just saw in Allegiant last Saturday, some Bruin fans have completely jumped ship and are terrified of what New Mexico can do to them. Real quick on that, UCLA fans, please stop acting like you just lost to the worst team in history. UNLV is a good G5 squad that I think could beat most P4 lower tier teams. So it's not the end of the world. You should still worry, because here's the deal. Nico Unlv's career and his head coach Deshaun Foster's career, and hell, throw in Tino Sinceri's career, might hinge on these next 2 weeks. If UCLA can go 2-2 before heading into the middle of Big Ten play, things will calm down. If they drop one of these, the season will spiral. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. People will jump in the portal. They might fire coaches on the sidelines. I don't know. Hell, they might just cancel your whole season. That's far, but, I could dream, right? On paper, UCLA still has better athletes across the board than New Mexico. Even though I think neither team has any standout players, New Mexico is in the middle of a complete overhaul of culture under Jason Eck, who I will say is proven to be a dog as a head coach. He reminds me of Brett Bielema. And it's not just because he's big and kind of looks like Tony Soprano. He's tough, he's very detail-oriented, and likely will be bound for a Power 4 job eventually. Right now, though, he is in a deep rebuild, so there is no excuses. UCLA should pull this one out. I don't think they cover, but they win. This is more about having the opportunity to build momentum over the next 2 weeks and try to salvage your season. It would be funny, though, if New Mexico pulls off the upset, for Mountain West's sake. Not just because I hate you guys, but shout out to the Lobos. Anytime you talk about almost ruining your life, you need to wear a Trojan. So speaking of my USC Trojans, USC heads to West Lafayette to face Purdue in what I think is a sneaky, interesting matchup. Last week, USC's offense went nuclear. 755 total yards, with Maava looking like a bona fide stud. But the defense also gave up 377 yards to a Georgia Southern team I don't think is very good. And it was ugly. Several busted coverages, defensive confusion. Clay Helton's squad moved the ball way too easily for my comfort, and I'm sure other Trojan fans' comfort. On the other side, Purdue hasn't looked very sharp either. But they've already doubled last year's win total, and that's thanks to Barry fucking Odom. As a Rebel fan, I know exactly what Big Baller Barry brings. Culture, toughness, accountability. He won't fix Purdue overnight, but you give him 2 to 3 years, and they'll be climbing to the middle of that Big Ten tier. As for this week, though, Purdue does not have the talent to hang with USC, and the key for the Trojans is to crush their spirit early. Don't let them believe that they belong on the same field. I would like for Lincoln Riley to not make us pass more than we need, because the only other coach that knows Jaden Maava as well as Lincoln is Barry Odom, and he might set some traps up there that he will fall into. I might be a little too harsh on Maava. He is coming into his own, and our receivers, Jacoby Lane and Makai Lemon, look elite. I think they're the best in the Big Ten. I am biased, though. And our defensive front looks right. It looks like what the USC teams in the early 2000s looked like. They should wreak havoc all day. My only 2 concern is our defensive back play, because it was not very good last week. And our our lack of depth at the linebacker position, but we knew that coming into the season. It's just with a possible Eric Gentry injury, we're already thin, and I don't want to see that be the Achilles heel of the team. USC should roll. USC wins big, covers the spread, sets the tone for the real stretch of the season that's about to happen. Fight on. Let's move to my G5 game of the week. Air Force versus Utah State. Two Mountain West foes going at it. Utah State has looked sharp under Bronco Mendenhall. They destroyed UTEP and pushed Texas A&M for a half. The Aggies could be a legitimate dark horse in the Mountain West this year. Well, maybe. I don't know. I still don't trust them. Air Force, meanwhile, is coming off the rare Week 2 bye after smashing FCS Bucknell. But now they enter a brutal stretch of their schedule. With the Falcons, you never know what you're going to get. Some years they overachieve, others they completely crater. That's just the nature of Academy ball. Looking back at that schedule, there's a good chance if they don't beat Utah State, they might end up 1-5 before they get their next winnable game. It is what it is. This game comes down to defense. Can Utah State handle the option attack that is always at Air Force? Can Air Force hold up against the play action pass that QB Bryson Barnes and the Aggies have done so well so far? If I have to pick one, I think I'm going to call the upset. Utah State wins at home. The fact that it is an upset, though, according to the sportsbooks, is kind of crazy to me. I'm not here to judge. Whatever. Good job, ESPN Bet. And please, for the love of God, don't bring those fucking awful cow helmets or I will turn off my TV. I fucking hate that uniform. Getting out of Mountain West play, let's look at the SEC. Vanderbilt versus South Carolina. This is my upset of the week. South Carolina looked rough against South Carolina State. Yes, they won 38-10, but they were just 3 of 12 on third down, lost the time of possession battle, and struggled on offense. Quarterback Lenore Sellers has not looked like the breakout star fans hoped for. Flashes have been there, but it's just he's not consistent enough. Vandy, on the other hand, is gaining steam. They trailed Va-Tech early last week and then absolutely steamrollered the Hokies in the second half. Hell, even with penalties and turnovers, Diego Pavia is playing like a star, and I've loved him since his New Mexico State days. Yeah, I didn't stutter. I said I loved him. That's my boy. At Williams-Brice Stadium. You'd probably lean Gamecocks, but they just don't feel right. Something feels off about this team this year. I think Vandy pulls the upset, not by just a little, but by double digits. I think the Commodores shock South Carolina by at least 10 points. Shout out to Diego Pavia. Look at him, looking so special. Let's finish this off with a ACC clash. Clemson versus Georgia Tech. This game is way bigger than Clemson fans want to admit. And I think I'm kind of interested in this because of the fact earlier this year I had Georgia Tech as a sleeper dark horse playoff contender, whatever you'd like to call it. Clemson has looked bad this year though. Yes, LSU is a tough opener, but barely escaping Troy last week? That's alarming. They were down 16-3 in the third quarter, and they only survived thanks to Goose Crowder's 3 interceptions. Cade Klubnik hasn't shown he is the guy yet, and at this point, I don't think he ever will. Georgia Tech, meanwhile, dismantled Gardner-Webb last week and beat Colorado in week 1. A Colorado team, I might add, that I feel is better than most give them credit for. The Yellow Jackets look legit, and if Haynes King is healthy, they might have a real shot at being a ACC championship contending team. But it all depends on this game. This is their only showcase game for a while. If this were at Clemson's home in South Carolina, I'd probably lean the Tigers. But in Atlanta, with the Yellow Jackets rolling, you might get some Haynes King magic. If he doesn't play, then I do think Clemson probably runs away with this game. But as of right now, I think Georgia Tech pulls the upset. Some honorable mentions. Wisconsin versus Alabama. Alabama wins. Wisconsin covers though. I think 21 points is a little high. Ty Simpson's gonna have to step up if he wants Crimson Tide fans to believe in him. And most importantly, Kalen DeBoer is really gonna have to show that he knows what he's doing, because I don't know if y'all seen them videos around Tuscaloosa. They want him out. I think they want to do something else to him, but they want him fired. I think that's the nicest thing you could say. Georgia versus Tennessee. Georgia wins, but if Joey Aguilar goes off, Vol fans would look super right about Nico, and I'm gonna be rooting for him. South Florida versus Miami. I'm picking Miami, but I beg Byram Brown and the USF Bulls, please pull this off. I don't care if it's at the detriment to the rest of the G5 playoff hopes. If you guys can be the kings of Florida this year, it would be so fun. Shout out to Go Leash. And finally, Texas A&M versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame wins at home. I feel like the Irish found every way to lose to Miami, and it was mostly due to play calling. They got to fix that. I also just don't trust Texas A&M in big games. All right, let's get out of here. That's my week 3 preview. Upsets are a brewing. There's questions that do remain, and the season is just heating up. Drop some of your predictions in the comments. What else? Who do y'all think is going to make a statement this week? As always, if you like stuff like this, think about subscribing, but I think you should like the video.